And how was the day? Everything good?
Yeah, just a normal Roop day. Busy.
Just a normal
You
roof day.
start at 6 and you end at whatever midnight.
Yeah, whatever. Your eyes finally hit the pillow, pretty much, and it's like, okay, I gotta go now.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It's been busy.
All right. So joining us on State of the Franchise is manager and general manager and co-owner of the London Majors, Mr. Roop Chanderdat. Roop, great to have you on the show. Thank you for doing this. I know it's been a struggle trying to get you and I on the same page as far as trying to finally get this going. So it's been nice to finally get a chance to sit down and get the update from the man himself about the London Majors.
Yeah, thanks for having me. And I apologize. It's just been busy times with work and hockey and baseball. So I apologize for being so tardy with this.
It's okay. It's okay. I know the fans have been asking as soon as we posted the Cleveland Brownlee interview last week, and as far as everything else goes, it's been like, is he coming back? Whatever else, because we didn't really get to that question with him because I wasn't ready for the answer either. Either way, it was just like he's coming back, whatever. But let's get it from you as far as where everything stands with Cleveland Brownlee right now.
So with Cleveland, how I always leave with Cleveland, it's up to Cleveland.
Yeah,
If he wants to play, London Majors have a spot for him. I just want him to go out on top where fans remember Cleveland Brownlee, this big hitter, not just Cleveland Brownlee, a guy coming to the plate and waving to the fans. He's a legend. His number is going to be retired. He's going to be one of the all-time greats forever in London Majors
yeah, no
history.
question.
So how Cleveland and I will sit down and have a serious talk. He always goes, Roop, if you're managing, I'm playing,
Yeah,
which is great. But I want him to go out where fans remember him,
well, exactly.
as a big hitter.
No question. I think that's a good spot to leave it at, and everything. Hopefully, that answers the question for the fans without us, trying to twist some arms and wink, wink. Hey, Cleve, come on back, come on. There's a spot for it. So that basically, the bottom line is there's a spot for Cleveland Brownlee if he can fit into his schedule. Of course, he's coaching his son's team now, Cleveland Juniors. So that's a huge time commitment in itself as well. And I know we both know that Cleveland's the kind of competitor. He wouldn't do it if he didn't think he could still do it.
100%. And I think he needs to know, and he knows this. I'll take him in a part-time role too.
Yep.
As long I want him to be in shape and be ready to hit whenever he's available.
Exactly. So let's turn the page a little bit to imports as far as everything else goes. The league this year now allowing 5 imports for each team. So how's the import signing going for the London Majors now?
So the import signing has gone great. So we're Diolio's back, and Diolio is arguably one of the top catchers in the league. I think he's the best defensive catcher in the league. So he's back. So that's first and foremost. You need someone behind the dish that can call a good game
Yep.
and handle the pitching stuff. So Diolio's back, and Payano, our lefty, and Arias, our righty, are both back. Payano this year will be back mainly as a starter. Last year I used him in dual roles, but
Hmm.
his focus will be starting. So that's those, and then a new import will be our shortstop. Francisco Fajardo is Dominican. He's back. He's an exciting player. He'll be playing shortstop. I haven't had an import shortstop since Keith Kendall, and Keith wasn't an import. Beginning of his career. After
Yep.
that he became non-import. So it's exciting to have a shortstop from Dominican and middle of the field again. So you got Diolio, you got Francisco up the middle. And then the newest import, and this is exciting. First guy from Bahamas, that's going to play for us is Toby Simmons.
Yep.
Toby's, an outfielder, center fielder. He's an exciting player, sort of like Francisco. Young though, 20 years old.
Wow.
So
That's really young.
really young, but my kind of player. When I say that, he's a guy that has speed, play defense. He's got a little pop in the bat. He's not a big time home run hitter. Gap
No.
to gap, and he's switch hitter. Him and Francisco are both switch hitters. So I see him as a top of the order kind of guy. So that's going to be our import situation right there, and it's exciting. And Bahamas, people don't equate Bahamas to baseball, but now in the major leagues,
Oh,
your
yeah.
Yankees have a very good
A very,
player from.
very good player by the name of Jazz Chisholm. That's for sure.
Yeah, so they're starting to come out of there, and we were one of the first to bring in guys from different Latino countries. Latest being Panama, and, with Robert Mullen, and now there's a lot of guys from Panama in the league. So
Yep.
hopefully we can corner the market for Bahamas for a little bit
The
before it opens up to everyone else.
London Major's a version of the Bahama Breeze. I like it. I like it a lot. There we go. There we go.
Yeah,
So now
no,
let's turn it to the rotation now. So obviously you got some. So I'm guessing Payano's going to be your number one, or is it going to be your Arias? Has it been decided as far as this, or is it still too early to figure that out yet?
it's too early to figure it out. For me, a number one is a guy that can really dominate it. So, Piano Arias and Keys, Travis Keys has
Yep.
to be in the mix. Last year, there's a guy that came in lefty, local, had a great season, started the All Star game,
Yep.
and well, and so he's going to be a mix. Those three, will have their starting spot, whether they're one, two, or three, however that works out. They'll work it out for themselves. I always tell them, I don't have to name a number one. You guys will figure it out
Yep.
in the sense that whoever's doing the best is the number one.
Yeah. Oh, exactly.
So yeah, that and then there's some guys, that the other guys that either be starting or relief. Ryan Beitel is a guy at UBC. He's
Yep.
coming in. He's a young kid. And then we got some really interesting Colby Ring, who
From
was with
Hamilton. Yep.
Hamilton last year.
Yep.
Jared Lund. Um, then who else do I? Jonathan Henry is another guy. Those are the guys that are going to battle for, the other
Innings.
starting spot
Yep.
in that sense. So, and then the other guy I want to mention is Alex Springer. Alex Springer, he was a junior last year. He's pitched 3 or 4 starts for us where he's done phenomenal against
Yep.
great team. So
Mhm.
he's full-time senior this year. So he's in the mix for that. So whoever gets those starting spots, and the rest will bump down to the bullpen.
Awesome. And then of course the bullpen is anchored by Tyler Gillies at the end there. So you just got to get him the baseball in. Hopefully the ninth inning. Hopefully not somewhere in the eighth, so you have to burn through him for 2 innings. But hopefully the ninth inning, and hopefully you guys got the lead there. So it's just you hand the ball over to him and just let him lock it down like he did so many times last year.
100%. The good thing about Tyler this year, we have him for the full season. Last year, we got him late in the year because he was finishing off his teaching at degree at UBC. So
Yep.
now he's here full time for the whole season. The other guy that's at the end of the bullpen kind of guy, I can't, is Skylar Janice. Skylar was with the Yankees.
Yep.
First year was a little bit of a rough year. Last year, he came in shape and he realized the league's a good league. I got to do some work in the winter.
Yep.
He did some work and he had a great year. And I think he's going to do the same thing here. And Janice, it's not many times you can say a pitcher is one of your big leaders on a team.
Yep.
If there's a captain, it might be Skylar Janice of our team. He's one of those guys that, just attracts everyone, makes everyone works hard, keeps
Mhm.
everyone loose at the same time.
So we also got
So,
any, yeah, as far as so we've taken care of the rotation, we've taken care of the pitching staff. Let's go
yep.
around the infield. Let's go around with the outfield and just go through and make sure we've covered all the bases and literally the outfield as well. Because you got Byron Reichstein coming back. He's enjoying the Masters right now from the video captions I've seen on Instagram. So he's ready to go.
Yeah, you know what, Byron, we get it's a good place to start with. He's a perennial all-star when he's on. He won the MVP there in I think 2021
Yep.
for for the playoffs. And yeah, Byron's back, and as these guys get older, they're back, but they have their careers.
Yep.
So but the days of playing all the games are probably done for guys like that. So
Yep.
when hopefully he's around enough, and then when we need him in the playoffs, that's when we need him most. So Byron's back in the outfield. We'll have, like I said, Toby Simmons is slated to play center field. He's gonna be in there, and then Kenneth Sugi, who's a D1 player from BC.
Yep.
He's gonna be in the mix center field, somewhere in the outfield. He can play all 3 spots. Another speed guy that can hit a bit too. So I'm excited about him. And then we got Champ Gardner. Champ was with us last year. Champ lives in California, but he's born in Canada, so he's
Yep.
a Canadian player. He's back in the outfield. And then the other guy that I got to talk about, they'll play a little bit of outfield, is Kyle Maves. Kyle was with
Yep.
Barry last year.
Yep.
He's a natural second baseman, but he can play everywhere. So he's kind of my kind of guy. He can plug and play. We've got guys that can move around. So, that he'll be another outfield. And Brad Verhoeven, who's a catcher, will get some reps in the outfield just to get his bat in the lineup.
Yep. And of course, you go around the infield. Of course, you acquired Josh Niles, who's coming back. The St. Thomas native is now a lot closer to home, so I'm sure Misty is really happy as far as that goes too. So, but yeah, we're gonna miss him in Hamilton, that's for sure.
Yeah, he's a great kid, and he should be playing in London, so he's going to get an opportunity here, and like he can play corner infields,
Yep.
first and third, and
Hmm.
then same with another. It's funny enough, another Hamilton guy, Osika,
Yep.
will be in that mix for first, third, second. Osika can play everywhere, and Brad Verhoeven. So that'll take care of first base. And I told them all, you guys will decide who's playing.
Yep. Exactly.
Whoever's hitting will play. Second base, we're excited. Dre Emerald is a D1 guy,
Yep.
Cambridge kid. He's senior D1. He'll play second base. He plays short at school. He'll slide over to second, and I think and Osika will get some reps also at second, depending on what we need out of him. And the other guy is and then we talked about Francisco will be at shortstop.
Yep.
Who do I have at third? That's a good.
That's a good
That's a
question.
good. It's a good question. And
It's who at
Ty
third? Yes.
Ty Mosher. Ty
Times.
Mosher played. He was a junior last year and
Yeah.
played full time with us. So him Osika, those they'll play a third base.
Yep.
Whoever is hitting, Maves will play a little bit of there. The guys know with me, you're hitting, you'll be in the lineup.
Yep.
But I think that covers off our infield, and then like I said, Diolio will be catching, and then Brad Verhoeven will be the other catcher.
Yep.
I think
Well,
we covered off
I
kind
think
of the
we've covered off there the whole lineup now as far as everything
the
else. We
whole.
we kept it. We kept the some there's I know there's going to be some surprises because there's always things that come through and everything else. So that's just but I think that's going to be enough for the fans to get excited about the majors. Of course, you guys have got the school day game on May 2nd against Hamilton, the Friday, and then I think you've got an exhibition game as well on May 4th, which is also a Star Wars themed night. I guess if I saw what Matt sent me earlier today and everything else, so it's got some notes as far as that stuff too.
Yeah, so the school day game, I'm excited about, and our off-field stuff, Scott and Matt and stuff. It's going to be a stressful game.
Yeah,
We sold out, so whether that's 5,300, 5,200
that's a lot of
kids
people.
there, that's a lot of, and it's all kids.
Yeah.
Sprinkled in 50 teachers,
Yep.
coming to chaperone, and so we're excited about that because that's who we want as our fan base. They'll come back,
Yep.
hopefully come back for one game and bring a buddy or a friend with
Exactly.
them, so that's exciting. And then we have a regular exhibition game on the Sunday against Kitchener, and I'm excited for that one from as a manager. Kitchener's, they've done a great job there. He's got a great team that he's assembled, and excited to see them and see what they've put together. So it'll be nice to see Kitchener and play against them and see some of their new faces.
Yeah. And it's going to be a little different for you guys. You guys usually you would always be in the opener against Jack's Maple Leaf team, but this year you're not going down to Toronto. You're actually going to Brantford to take on the Red Sox that day.
100%. Normally, I play again. When Jack was alive, he'd always start his game 1 week ahead,
Yep.
because of their Hall of Fame
Yep.
banquet. So no one would want to play him, and I go, Jack, I'll always play you. And then last year at the meeting, I said, I'm not. I don't want to do it. Just because we're not ready. And
Yep.
but here we are. Everyone's playing, and we're playing Brantford. So if I would have known that, we could have still went to Toronto. But it's
Yep.
fine. We're playing Brantford, and that's going to be exciting. That's what new ownership. It seems that they've assembled another good team. I think the balance. You're going to have the top teams, but I think the competitive balance will be right there for everyone this year.
I think, yeah, like I don't really have a clear favorite. I think everybody's gone and done their homework as far as trying to recruit guys, bring guys in, and just up the talent level in this league too. You're definitely moving away more from a semi-professional league to more of a more what's looking like a professional league as we're going through the rosters and everything else. So I think that's where
Yeah,
we're heading.
100%. Like, I mean, how can Barry get better? They got better,
Yeah,
and on Hamilton, oh my God, like, you got to play a team that's, on paper looks fantastic.
yeah.
They're going to challenge, and Welland, they're always good.
Yeah,
They're a good
they
team. And
just haven't knack to find guys from all over the place, and it's just like if there was no stone unturned with the Welland Jackfish.
100%. And I used to think, like, and this is going back years, you have the market cornered out west. Now everyone's out west, like
Yep.
all the teams are sniffing around there. Welland's in Panama now because of Robert Mullen. We talked about him. And and like I said, Chatham, Toronto, Kitchener, Brantford, don't sleep on them. Those are
No,
those are
exactly.
great teams. Like it's gonna be. I'm gonna tell my guys this year. You play a game. It's gonna be hard to get a win. So
Well,
if we are
exactly.
happy to get a win, enjoy it because
Yep.
there's no guarantee you get a second win, right? So
Yep.
it's going to be a really good league, and I think it's good for the IBL. Like every team is
Hmm.
strong and competitive, and that's no disrespect. I mean, obviously Barry, they're the top team, and you got to beat the champions
Yep.
and Hamilton what they've done. But I think the other teams are going to be in the mix.
I think so too. I think it's going to be a very interesting season. See who pans out where as far as everything else goes. And then just thanks again for taking the time today to sit down and talk the roster, talk about the majors. I really appreciate it, Roop.
No, I appreciate it, Neil. Thanks for having me.